Idaho's abortion laws now in the hands of the state Supreme Court. Thanks for joining Idaho News 6. I'm Don Nelson.
And I'm Karen Lair. Today, the state's top justices hearing oral arguments in 3 lawsuits brought forward by an Idaho doctor and Planned Parenthood. Our Jake Garcia was in the courtroom today and joins us with more on what we expect to happen next. Jake?
Well, Karen, for the second time, the Supreme Court has heard these arguments for the state regarding Idaho's abortion law. The Planned Parenthood arguing that there's a fundamental right to an abortion, the state saying there's not. During today's nearly 2.5-hour hearing, Planned Parenthood asked the court to rule both the total abortion ban and the fetal heartbeat law unconstitutional. The state asking the court not to make a decision and leave the issue in the hands of voters and the legislature. Planned Parenthood saying the right to an abortion is covered by the federal right of privacy and the liberties given to people under the Idaho Constitution. The state argues that the court must look at Idaho's past laws and cultures when it comes to an abortion, pointing out that even before Idaho was a state, abortion was prohibited. A key question during today's hearing was, when does a fetus get constitutional rights? Planned Parenthood says it's at a point later in pregnancy when the fetus can live outside the womb. The state argues that right begins at conception. I caught up with the physicians suing the state of Idaho over these laws after today's hearing.
Today went really well. We heard from the court their deep concern about a legislature, a state that's trying to take away a very important and crucial right, the right to privacy, the right to control one's own body without interference from the government, the right to make those decisions, those crucial medical decisions with one's doctor without that government interference.
I also spoke with Blankenzatte, the Idaho Family Policy Center that helped the legislature write the fetal heartbeat law.
We're confident that the state Supreme Court is going to vindicate these laws and allow these abortion restrictions to remain in effect. Every preborn child in the state of Idaho should have the same constitutional rights as you or me, and especially babies with preborn babies with beating hearts. They deserve protections. All babies from conception deserve protections, and we're confident these laws are morally, scientifically, and constitutionally sound.
Jake, when can we expect a decision, and what are some potential outcomes here?
Well, Don, I don't think we can expect a decision this week. It may be as soon as next week or even later, as each justice has to go through a review and decide where they stand on the issue. Now, some of the key outcomes of this could be that the court not only doesn't even take it up, but they send it back to a lower court, or that they rule it constitutional or unconstitutional.
Now, Jake, if the court does strike down both the total ban and the fetal heartbeat law, would abortion then become legal again in the state of Idaho?
In theory, yes. Now, there is a 20-week abortion ban on the books, but a federal court enjoined that, so it's no longer enforceable. But obviously, we'd have to wait and see what the legislature does, because they could issue new legislation and the cycle starts completely over again. Don and Karen?
All right. Thanks, Jake.